We're all set.
Great, thank you, Owen. Good evening and welcome to the August meeting of the Northborough Conservation Commission. My name is Greg Young. I'm the chair of the commission. This open meeting of the Northborough Conservation Commission is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022, an act relative to extending certain remote, wrong reading. Ancient history here. Okay, let's try it again. This meeting is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Healy's executive order of March 29th. Very important differentiation. 2023, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency. All members of the Northborough Conservation Commission are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows the Northborough Conservation Commission to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded, so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Dan Clark.
Here.
Justin Dufresne.
Here.
Todd Helwig.
Here.
Very good, thank you. Steph, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Vincent Vignali.
Here.
Owen Jones.
Here.
Very good. Some ground rules for presenters and or applicants listed on the agenda. The chair will invite each speaker or applicant on the agenda by name to make a presentation and speak to their application. Participants will provide their full name and hold until their name is called. Each speaker will be asked to mute their phone or computer when not speaking and to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. Those responding will be asked to wait until the floor is yielded to them by the chair. Speakers who wish to respond to the comments of others do so through the chair, taking care to identify themselves. Each vote taken by the commission will be conducted by roll call vote. On items of public comment, after members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment as follows. By phone, dial *9 to raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Please note that part of your phone number will be visible to those viewing the meeting. By Zoom, click raise hand on the bottom of your screen and wait to be recognized by the chair. The chair will ask members of the public who wish to speak to identify their names and addresses only. Once the chair has a list of all public commentators, the chair will call on each by name and afford 3 minutes for any comments. All set. Justin, you're on.
All right. There will be a meeting of the Northborough Conservation Commission on Monday, August 14th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed into law on March 29th, 2023. This meeting is conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance by members of the public will be permitted. To participate in the public comment portion of this public hearing, go to Northborough Remote Meetings YouTube channel or the town website for Zoom information. Greg, I'm not sure if I should have read all that because I think you had already stated that, but moving on. The meeting will include the following hearings pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, the Northborough Wetlands Protection Bylaw, and or the Northborough Stormwater Management and Land Disturbance Bylaw. An application for a notice of intent at 95 Indian Meadow Drive, map 105, parcel 50, by Kevin Lammy, to extend the town drainage system within a bordering vegetated wetland, 25-foot Northborough no disturb zone, and the 100-year floodplain. And an application for stormwater management and land disturbance permit for 39 and 43 King Street, map 82, parcels 30 and 31, by ZHS Trust, Rashid Sheikh, trustee, seeking permission to alter an area greater than 1 acre for construction of a retirement home community.
Super. Thanks, Justin.
Yep.
Okay, Vinny, meeting minutes from July 10th. We don't have any because Melanie has retired. You're muted, Vinny. There you go.
About that.
Yep. Perfect.
We will have 2 sets at our next meeting. We have a new clerk starting next Tuesday.
Okay, great. Great. What's the new clerk's name? Do you know?
Brenda?
Brenda. Super. Okay. Public hearing continue. We're going to make one move here. We're going to move the King Street to the top of the list here. The owner of the property is, I believe, in Canada at a wedding, and he wants to attend that wedding for as long as he can. So we're going to start with him, hopefully, and hopefully not spend too much time so that we don't run late here. So let's see. We need to bring in
I think you should see
Mark Arnold.
Yep. Joseph Lozano, maybe. He's the engineer,
Mark
and
Arnold,
Rashid.
local panelists. Mark is here,
Thank you.
and Joseph is on his way.
So Joe will be here just to support as needed. My name is Mark Arnold with Goddard Consulting, here on behalf of ZHS Trust with Rashid Sheikh for 39 and to 43 King Street. And so my intention is to do a quick summary of the project. The commission is very familiar with it, but just so the public knows, as this was publicly notified and abutters were also notified. The project is a previously approved assisted living facility at 39 to 43 King Street in Northborough, Massachusetts. He proposes one new building. Existing buildings are to be demolished. Parking lots up front, stormwater system to the northeast in the corner to the bottom left, another system to the north southeast in the upper right corner, and then another system as well also in that upper right corner. There are also several different points of stormwater discharge behind the building that have riprap, and those are from overflows from the systems and also from the roof drainage itself. There's a boardwalk and walkway behind the building with associated patio space that is called out as paver system, but it's mapped as impervious surface under the stormwater management design. The purpose of this application is the stormwater bylaw, which was implemented by the Northborough town after this project received an order of conditions. And so we filed a land disturbance permit for disturbing more than 1 acre of land. As part of this application, this project is subject to the NIPD's permit and SWIP, which is noted in the on the site plans on the erosion control sheet. And that under the regulations is considered equivalent to the erosion sedimentation control plan described in the section of the regulations of section 8. So our applicant is intending to prepare a SWIP. It includes all the requirements necessary in your regulations. And that SWIP is usually prepared prior to construction to allow the site contractor to provide additional insight and also to ensure that they are fully up to speed on the regulations of your bylaw and the permits. We do expect several conditions from this commission. There was several comments by Vincent that we understood that could be conditioned. One included noting that the construction edge would be more than 50 feet. The other would be ensuring that the O&M was updated to notify that the commission would be submitted annual reports. And there's several others. I don't know if Vincent wants to run through his highlights or I can run through the rest of his comments, but in a gist, that's really where we are. Again, the project is basically the same as it was when this commission approved an order of conditions. We've added additional stormwater management. The limit of work has virtually not changed. We've actually reduced some grading in some spots, but otherwise it's virtually the same as what was seen under the order of conditions besides those tweaks.
Great. Thank you, Mark. Vinny, have you received all information that you have been looking for?
Not that I was at, that I requested. I think the idea here is that this did receive an order of conditions, and it was extended by the commission.
Yep.
But this is a new bylaw, the land disturbance bylaw, so that really reflects the need for the details that are going to occur during the construction activities. So that is in the bylaw, that those are supposed to be submitted as part of the application for the permit. It also notes in the bylaw that the stormwater pollution prevention plan is considered part of this, and it is typically submitted 14 days prior to the start of construction. They're two separate things. One's a federal permit, the other is a local Northborough permit. And so that's why I was looking for the information that would be typically included in a SWIP to also be included with this at this time, so that we would have a chance to comment and make sure that everything that should be in the SWIP is contained in that document.
And Vincent, we are glad to provide that information in that SWIP prior to construction. And if there needs to be a condition about a certain deadline to submit that SWIP prior to construction, so you can review that, that's fine. And if the commission wants to put a condition that SWIP must be reviewed and approved by Vincent prior to the start of work, that's also suitable, I think, to provide coverage for what the sound is seeking to protect here, which is the wetland resource areas, and also prevent damage to abutters.
Yeah, that's a possibility. That's typically not what I would do, and not what's been done by the commission in the past. The idea that we're looking for the applicant to complete the full application, as anyone else would have to do, and show what's required. Those minor comments and changes that Mark was talking about, extending the construction exit by 50 feet, those are details that should be on the plan. It's not a condition that should be one of the commission's concerns. It's a standard detail. It is the Mass state standard. It's the construction general permit state standard. It should all be done on the plan, so that we're approving a plan, and the plan then gets sent out to a contractor and he bids on that document. And that's what we all have agreed to as being the plan that is being implemented. So that's why I'd like to have it all packaged completely in this application.
Vinny, I've got Rashid raising his hand. I'm going to bring him into the meeting. Rashid, you're into the meeting. Just need you to unmute.
Yes, hi, Mr. Chair. Can you hear me, please?
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay. First of all, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to be at the beginning of the meeting. I'm actually heading to the wedding as we speak. And we don't want to take too much of your time either, because we do know that you are very, very kind and generous for giving us the time in the beginning. And also you guys have a very long agenda ahead of you. And I had a very long conversation with Vince on Friday. And honestly, I heard the both sides, and I just want to kind of tell you that we don't want to really butt heads here. I mean, it's a new bylaws, and there's some interpretations. I read the bylaw again, and like I think Mark has cited, that basically the bylaw does clearly say that if you are planning to submit the SWIP, then it could be used as an equivalent of some of the conditions in the this permit. So we understood that since it's clearly stipulated that, and it also says that you got to submit that 14 days before the construction. So, I mean, we took a liberty that things which are duplicated, they could be, just submitted at that point. But honestly, if you must, and if the board just, rather have that, then, honestly, we don't want to argue about it. We have waited for quite a while, and you're always very kind with us. I mean, we want to really work with you. But I think I don't want to leave this, unaddressed, that we have actually made a lot of progress and, updated the plan and did all those things in the last few months. So, yes, there could be a couple more things which could be done, and we answered those questions in the letter. But the only things which are not in there are SWIP related, because we thought we we're going to submit the SWIP. But if the board, wishes to, talk about that now or look at that bylaw, fine. If not, and board wishes us to come back and, we believe it will not take more than another meeting. I mean, we would just, whatever the board wishes.
Okay, great. Thank you, Rashid. Vinny, what's your thoughts here? I'll tell you mine after yours, then we can go around to the commission, see what they say.
Actually, it's pretty much what I had said. The
Okay.
the
might-
bylaw states the idea that you're allowed to have the SWIP submitted 14 days. It's required by the federal law that it be required 14 days in advance of the start of construction. That was that's a quote from the federal regulation. The intent that I was told from Fred and in this bylaw itself is to have all that information included in this application, because this is not, as I said, it's not a notice of intent.
Right.
One of the questions that I asked was if we could reduce the grading in the upper left corner of the plan. And the response that I got was that it's already been permitted. Well, actually it hasn't, because this is a whole separate permit, that it's a different permit. It's been approved under the Wetlands Protection Act, but it hasn't been approved under this because the change occurred that there are changes with this walkway around the back, and the grading associated with that makes it a little bit better, or makes the opportunity better for the grading in that back corner to have that as just an elevated walkway as it is on the right side of the building. They've also added some parking and infiltration practices to meet the stormwater standards, the new revised stormwater standards. So these are things that we were going to review as part of the land disturbance permit, and not require them to do an amended order of conditions. So that's why this is not just a simple, we already did the plan, we've got a permit in place, let's just approve it. There is more to it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, my thoughts here is I'd like to see a complete application here, and that includes a SWIP, and I think we should have a SWIP done and include that with the filing. This property here, we walked it many times several years ago. It's fairly sloped, and there's a active wetland environment right in the rear, and this is going to go right down to the edge of that as far as it can go under the old regulations. So and again, this is still a new area that we're in, and I really don't want to establish precedent that is loose. Let's put it that way. So that's where I'm coming from here. Other commissioners, comments, suggestions, concerns. Todd, I think you're recusing, right?
I was just gonna remind you of that fact, yes.
I'm reminded of that fact. Very good, thank you.
My thoughts are similar to Vinny's and Greg's. Let's get a complete thing so we can look at it as a whole package and then make a decision.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd agree with everyone else too. And just kind of wondering too, Greg, we still need another board member too, right? Before we can vote this then with Todd recusing himself. Or we-
1, 2, 3. Yes, we could not vote it today anyway. We could not close the hearing anyway.
Diane just joined us.
Oh, very good. Then we could.
Oh.
So we're not we're good.
No, but I mean, I think, like the SWIP's a living document, right? It's going to live with the site. It's going to change. Hopefully the site contractor, is adjusting things as they go along, as the SWIP requires. But I think kind of having that baseline kind of first draft of the SWIP, makes a lot of sense under the stormwater permit, especially a site like this where you do have quite a bit of grade change to the back. Everything is draining directly to that wetland back there. It'd be nice to see, temporary basins and things like that, as they're gonna be there. And, that way, when a contractor bids on it, they have that much more information to get their bids appropriately kind of lined up for this one too. So I think, kind of makes some sense just to get that document together. It's going to need to get pulled together anyways, and then that way we can just approve the full package here.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks, Justin. Diane, you've joined us. But you're muted, Diane. Okay, maybe some technical difficulties. Diane, if you get unmuted, please jump in. Let me see if we have any other public comments here.
Can you hear?
Yes, we can, Diane. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No. Did you hear some of the conversation earlier?
Yeah, about the water going down the hill.
Yes, that's one way of putting it, yes. And the need to have a SWIP submitted along with the application.
Yes,
package.
yes.
Do you have any comments on that?
No.
Okay,
Mhm.
I see Rashid's hand is up. You're muted, Rashid.
Yes, can you hear me, Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Okay, like I said, honestly, we don't want to argue with anyone. I mean, we have no plan of not doing this. Is once again, I would remind ourselves that we have very little left to do. Yeah, and I don't really see any mountains to be moved here. So I don't mind giving that information in here. And I don't know, it seems to me the wisdom of that information is kind of borrowed, from SWIP, so that you could do the SWIP later when you do. I don't know how long the SWIP is good till, but my thought was to do the SWIP, as it's required by law on, 14 days before we ready to start. Honestly, I have not chosen any operator on this yet. So I would rather just then do what Vince is saying, provide the information, the portion of the SWIP, whatever is needed in this application. And I was already planning to do a conference call between my engineer, Mark, and I think my engineer probably is already listening as well, between my engineer, Mark, and me pretty soon, and then making sure we're all on the same page and, work collaboratively to just provide whatever you need and, get the job done.
Good. Well, I think you heard one of the comments, Rashid, here is that it's a living document, right? You're gonna start someplace, and then as we get into the whole construction sequencing, and some things are unexpected things gonna pop up, and the document can be modified. But I mean, it's a very difficult site, and we want to make darn sure that we maintain the integrity of that wetland environment behind it.
No, absolutely. And there are no hard feelings. We just thought that we were just looking at the bylaw a little bit differently than, probably you are, but your word is more important and final. Like I said in the beginning, no problem at all. We were selected for this meeting, and we want to come to the meeting and ask if there are anything else. I mean, just let me know what you think we're on the right track here, and we just need to provide what Vince is saying to, I'll also take a look at the grading. I was not aware if that's kind of any issue, but I'll see. I mean, a lot of time Vince is giving ideas which can be helping all of us. So I just have to kind of see, we'll do whatever we can, Yep. But I do want to know from the board, without going too much longer, that are we on the right track? Because we haven't spent any time talking about all the stuff we have achieved. I'm not looking for kudos, but I just want to make sure there are only a couple of things, just matter of paperwork, it's nothing big deal. I see, board chair, Vince, whatever, like to hear if there is anything if you are not going in the right direction,
My 2 cents says you are going in the right direction. There's some open ends here. You already have an order of conditions issued, so that you have that. And Vinny, I think you're just looking for a few more pieces of information.
Yes, yeah, I think you're over any hurdles. Everything is acceptable. Now we're tweaking it to make it workable and to be sure that the contractor gets a plan that is going to be buildable and going to have the least chance of any negative impacts to the wetlands and resources.
Fair enough.
Okay.
So, you're saying, Vince, through Mr. Chair, could I ask a question to Vince, Mr. Chair?
Sure, but we want to keep it fairly short so we can vote this continuation and move on, but go ahead, Rashid.
Okay, so I'll just ask, to everyone that, is there, other than the comments you have made, Vince, in writing in your response, and, we'll review one more time. We'll make sure if we have questions, we'll do a conference call. There's nothing else we're talking about. And also, we're not really saying we necessarily have to do SWIP now, as long as we provide you the information you're looking for.
Yes, you don't have to do a complete SWIP form, but the information that's required by the town bylaw is generally the same information that gets included. It's not all the details of the SWIP, but
Mhm.
it's the meat, it's the real, the issues that are presented in there.
Sure. Mark, you have any question?
I guess I do, Vincent, just because again, there's the erosion control plan content, which is in your bylaw regulations, which is on the screen right now, has a lot of information. It wants maps and soil information, topography. I mean, we have the site plans already, and we could add information to that. But before that section, this is where Vincent Rashid's asking that question about the SWIP. The regulations do say if the SWIP meets the requirements of the general permit, it would be considered equivalent. So that's where, again, we're glad to add the notes that you asked for. Easy. We could do that. I just want to make sure that the SWIP is a big effort to the commission, to the chair here. It's a big effort for us to put that all together. It's a living document, correct, but the big effort is up front. And then after that, it gets tweaked. So that's why Rashid's just kind of asking that clarifying question. I think we can provide, Vincent, all your answers we can address directly. We can put all those notes that you asked for on the plan. I think that can happen very easily. And we can follow up with you to make sure that any other notes you can add there. And we can look through these below comments as well. But this is kind of I think the regulations were saying, well, if the SWIP's going to have that information, do we need it in two different places? Do we need a separate plan as well as the SWIP? So again, from Rashid's question to Vincent, I mean, I don't think a full SWIP is required, just better information as you requested in writing.
Right, and that's why I did not request the SWIP. You're the one that responded and said you would provide a SWIP at a later date. What this thing says is if you have a SWIP prepared, that could comply with all these different additional regulations under the land disturbance permit. So if you have a SWIP already done, you may not need to do all the other little things that are included in here. But if you haven't got a SWIP done, what we're looking for is all the other stipulations, and that gets reviewed as part of the land disturbance application. Does that clarify it? It's kind of, it's again, two separate documents, separate permits. But if you've already done all the work associated with a SWIP and you submit that with your land disturbance application, it would probably comply.
So Vinny, is it safe to say that what the information you're looking for would be a subset of a complete SWIP?
Yes.
So Mark, it's not the entire document he's looking for, it's for some of that content.
I understand that, yes.
Cool. Okay. So looks like we're going to continue this to September. Hopefully we can close it up then. I think we probably can with we're close enough, Vinny, right? You're muted. Get off that mute
Yep.
button.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, I think so.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to vote to continue this to the September meeting. We need a motion.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second,
Second by Justin. Roll call. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Todd is abstaining.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank
too.
you. Thank you.
Okay, Rashid, enjoy the rest of the wedding.
Thank you very much, everyone. I really
Okay.
appreciate it. Yep. Bye.
All right, so let's see here. Do a little house cleaning. Okay. All right. Let's go then to the top of the agenda, the 119 Barefoot Road, the Senior Center ADA Trail. Let's see what we have here. If they Scott, bringing you as a panelist. Anybody else? I think Josh, right?
Josh,
Brandon.
yeah.
Brandon's
Josh,
coming in.
Jeanette, Megan, I think.
I don't see Megan. And that should be everybody. That should be. There's Scott and Brandon.
Hi, folks.
Good evening. Thank you, Josh.
Good evening.
Okay.
Hello.
Where are we here? We're pretty close, right? There was some information that Vinny was looking for. I know that he got a PE stamp. Vinny, why don't you tell us where we are with the missing info?
All right, we've gone back and forth a few times and they've submitted a revised set of plans. I got them, I think it was this morning or noontime or so today. Revised specs, revised operation and maintenance plan. And it appears that everything is in compliance with our bylaw and we can move forward, I think. I think it has everything that's needed. It's going to protect the wetlands and the pond that's in that area as best we can. And we're just going to see how it goes during construction. We'll be able to monitor. And I think they'll be filing a SWIP also. And once that is completed, we will then schedule a pre-construction meeting and kind of move forward.
Good, good. Any significant changes, Vinny?
Yes, actually, I think Josh is ready to go with those. They relocated the pathway and explained or clarified the details on the grading of the site, and a whole bunch of the details of the erosion sediment controls have been cleaned up, and the operation and maintenance plan has been clarified with the appropriate owners and everybody having a list of things that need to get done for regular maintenance.
Josh, can you walk us through some of those? Here we go. Good.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Josh will be happy to go through this. I know that we did have to amend the alignment of the walkways to accommodate some budgetary constraints through
Okay.
what we've gone through before the commission. We've added all the slope arrows as requested on the walkway adjacent to the resource. I know that the slope mat limits are clearly defined on the drawings. And I'm happy to give it over to Josh to go through what other changes have been incorporated.
Super, super. Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Scott. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, I can. Yep.
Okay. So this is just the first page. Brandon, do you
small.
want me to run in, or do you want to run through it?
Yeah, why don't you go take the lead, Josh, and then I'll chime in as appropriate if needed.
Great, thanks, guys. So I'll just dive in. So here's the front page. So we revised this early today. I sent Vinny some updated plans over the weekend, but we'll just get into the meat of it. Let me zoom in real quick here.
Good, thank you.
So here is the site prep and erosion control plan here. So as Scott mentioned and Vinny mentioned, we used to have a large kind of jug handle loop that went off to the right through here, right? If you guys can remember.
Mhm.
So we've eliminated that. And then also, if you remember before, previously we had a steeper walkway that kind of hugged closer to the wetlands there. And I believe this was a comment from one of the commissioners from last month, that if we could relocate that, that would be advantageous to the commission and to the environment and everything. So we took those two comments under consideration, and we pulled, well, one, we eliminated the larger stone dust jug handle that's on the left here, as I just highlighted. And then we also pulled the accessible path further away from the resource areas. It's now all accessible. It's all 4.5%. So the entire loop path is paved. It's all ADA compliant. It's an accessible, complete accessible walkway. You don't get to a certain area and need to turn around. So you can circumnavigate the entire wetland all in one shot. But then the rest of the area pretty much stays the same. We have some stone dust walkways up off of the parking lot here. And we added some additional kind of low-ish points. Me and Vinny, or our Weston and Sampson and Vinny walk through here, just to really help with erosion and to really prevent water from potentially spilling down the steeper areas of the slope. We've added some additional armoring, well, not really armoring, but we've added some more language to reinforce some of the erosion control devices and some language to beef those up to where we install those, to really give us maximum, well, give the contractor and the commission the maximum amount of flexibility to move and install additional erosion controls if we see certain things that are happening out on site that we really can't, design, in computer land, but things might happen out on site. So we have additional erosion control devices that we can install if we see things happening. Here's the updated kind of impact plans here. So you can see everything in the magenta purple area. That's your 100-foot wetland buffer. Your red is your 0 to 25, no disturb. And then the little green area is between your 25 and your 35. So as you can see, I don't know if you guys can remember, but we had a lot of walkway kind of close, kind of skipping around the red and green area here, but we were able to pull that out into the forests and grade it out so it's accessible. So down the lower left corner down here, we have updated impact square footages and numbers. Let me just switch over quick right here to our grading plan. Don't mean to make you guys dizzy, but I will show kind of one of the areas that was in kind of in some, one of Vinny's concerns here was we do have a little retaining wall. You guys can remember right through here. We do have a steep slope from the grading to get down to the wetland areas. So we've added some slope indicators. So any water that comes down the hill or lands on the walkway is going to get directed towards the uphill side of the pathway. So basically the water is being directed away from the wetlands. And then we added a couple little kind of lower kind of areas to allow some additional infiltration. And then as water kind of, it'll make its way down the right-hand side of this path as just a storm event happens. In this particular area right here, which was fairly steep, this was one of the areas where we hatched out. In our detail, every slope that's steeper than 4:1 is going to get a jute mat stapled down to the ground. This particular area here, we do call out for 2 additional straw wattles to be installed along the slope in this hatched out area right here. Let me highlight it for you. Just where it's really steep. So we're calling for additional, and on top of the jute mesh matting, we're going to have 2 additional straw wattles that we can install and we can move those around based on current conditions. But then also along the bottom, we have the 12-inch core tube that will be planted with a wetland appropriate seed mix, but then also just upstream of that, kind of belts and suspenders, we do have a sediment fence and a wattle in front of that. The core log is going to stay forever. That's in perpetuity. So once the site gets established and erosion controls has been installed, then at some point, once establishment has happened, we will remove the silt fence and that straw wattle, but the core or the koi tube will remain in a long-term fashion. So those are kind of the highlights, the quick hits. So yes, we took some of the commission's comments
Yes,
and incorporated them.
yeah, just in regards to operation and maintenance, as Scott has noted, as well as Vinny, we've added a bunch of notes throughout the plan set to provide, essentially it gives the owner's representative or engineer of record, whoever ultimately is going to be signing off on behalf of the town, the flexibility to direct the contractor during the construction process to either add additional erosion controls, adjust additional erosion controls, just to ensure that, in real life, as Josh was noting, like we are anticipating in order to preserve as many trees as possible. And we have a pretty good sense of the ones that we know have to come down. But as you folks are aware, getting out in the real world and, you have a dot on the map that says this is a tree, that's not the true diameter of the tree. So we anticipate minor adjustments to the path, and things are going to shift out in the field, and we're going to GPS locate everything and be able to make those adjustments on the fly. But because of that, we want to ensure that the contractor has the flexibility to make adjustments. We have the flexibility to direct the contractor to make those adjustments. So really, it's a belt and suspender method to ensure that throughout construction and then ultimately till establishment of the vegetation, to the satisfactory of Vinny and us and the town, that these erosion controls are in place, so that we aren't risking any sediment or pollutants finding its way into the wetland area. So that's really what Vinny has been great at, sort of working through with us and providing the insight from the commission as well as the town. So we're hoping that everyone is feeling good about this, and we're able to close the hearing tonight with
Fair enough. Brandon, two quick questions I have.
Sure.
And nothing, this is maybe just reminding me about it. The back end walkway, I guess you call it, on the side nearest to Iron Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
That's asphalt, right? That's tar. It's
Everything.
stone dust, right?
Yeah, everything is asphalt around the immediate wetland area. As we get closer to the parking lot where we are further away from risk of erosion and the
Yeah.
slopes are a little bit more forgiving, we felt it was appropriate and acceptable to transition the stone dust.
Okay, that was my second question. So we took care of that one first.
That's right.
For that piece in back on the north side, is
Mhm.
that going to slope away from the pond and towards the Iron Mountain, let's say?
He's referring to the area by the railroad.
Right,
railroad
correct, yeah. Josh, you have that grading plan handy?
I
Just-
do have that grading plan. Yeah, this was another one of the comments that we were able to incorporate. Originally, this section right through here was 6 foot wide. We skinnied that down to a 10-foot wide section. This area is a little bit difficult because you have wetland flags on either side of it. It's a little isthmus in between. So generally speaking, we would install this fairly flat or with a very slight slope just to sheet flow water off. But it's kind of which way do we want to push the water?
Just to be clear, and sorry to interrupt, Brandon.
Yeah.
Again, this is a paved walkway through a wooded area. There are no vehicles. There's no salt. There's no sand. This is not a walkway that people will be salting in the wintertime. It's not access to a parking lot at a mini mall or something. There will be no vehicles out here. So, during construction, there are significant protections proposed in front of the commission. From a long-term operations perspective, there may be a junior operator walking through there with a backpack blower occasionally to remove leaves, but that's the extent of operations and maintenance back here.
So the water that's going to run off is going to be just water. That's it.
That's
So,
right.
That's correct.
Yeah. Great. Okay, those are my questions. Good. Other commissioners have questions? Comments?
No questions. I comment. I just want to say I appreciate that you took our comments and reworked this. I think it's a big improvement and really provides a lot of additional protection to the resource. So I appreciate it. I think it looks great.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to say similar to Dan, appreciate you guys working with us. And I think it looks really good.
Super.
Great to hear.
Let's see if we have any public comments. I don't see any. Okay. Vinny, if you're good, we can move forward, I think, yes?
I'm good. I've got some details to look at, and there's a bond requirement in the bylaw, but because it is a town-owned property, we're gonna have a condition probably to require that the bond that is generally required for this kind of a project, the last, and I forget the number on this site, I think it was a $10,000 bond amount that was needed for restoration, that they don't release the last 10,000 until it's approved by the conservation agent and the town engineer. Oh, there's no town engineer, so just the conservation commission.
Fair enough. Do we need a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second by Dan
Second.
Clark. Roll call. Dan Clark,
Yes,
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes,
Todd Helwig,
Yes, sir.
and I vote yes. Now we're looking to issue two things, a notice of intent and a stormwater management and land disturbance permit for 119 Barefoot Road.
In order of conditions, yep.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Justin, I believe. Roll call. Dan Clark,
yes,
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
yes,
Todd Helwig.
Yes,
I vote yes.
And that's including our standard conditions, and we're not going to include anything about fencing or signage along the wetland area, right?
I don't think we need to. It's
Nope,
it's
I
it's
don't
a
think
town
so.
property, so.
Yep.
All right. And
Thank you,
again,
Mr. Chairman.
what you've heard, thank you for working with the commission on some items here, and we finally got there, Scott, huh? We're done, so.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much, guys.
Commissioners.
Thanks all.
Thank
Have a
you very
great evening.
much. Bye now.
Okay. I think we're good there, Vinny, all right? Good.
Yes, and you would check for the public comments. There were no public
There are no
there.
public comments, no.
Excellent.
Let's see, 311 Crawford Street's a continuation.
Yes,
That's from last month, right?
yes, yep, they requested a continuance.
So we need to vote that. We need to vote a continuation on 1311 Crawford Street, parcel 14.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a
Second.
second? Seconded by Dan. Roll call, Dan Clark,
yes,
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
yes,
Todd Helwig.
Yes,
I vote yes. Okay, we're going to jump to 78 West Main Street. Also continued NOI. Brian Waterman, correct?
Ryan Waterman. There may be Barry.
Okay, Brian's joining us. I don't see any more hands up.
No, Jerry Haja.
No,
Okay,
no. We've got 4 people, 3 and a phone number. No hands. Waiting for Brian to join us. There he is, coming in.
I am here.
Hello, Brian.
Hello, everybody. How you doing?
We are, well, I'm doing okay. I can't speak for the rest of the group here, but yes. Yes, I'm fine. 78 West Main Street.
Yep.
Let's see, we're looking for a couple of items here. Vinny, we're looking for some stormwater treatment unit decisions.
yes, there was a question. It was just inconsistent with between the plans and the documents of what they were proposing, and that it met the 80% TSS requirement. They submitted a package of information today, and I looked through it quickly. It looked like it was submitting what I was asking for, and it's just going to take a little more time to look at. But if you want to kind of run through it quickly, Brian, that would be helpful.
Yep. I think, the discussion on July 10th was generally favorable with the amount of, removal of bituminous concrete near the wetland, restoration of riverfront, and a good portion of the 0 to 25 and 35 zone in that back portion. We removed the official rain garden moniker after a discussion with DEP that said, if you can't move the rain garden somewhere else, it's got to be 50 feet away. Obviously, with the layout of the site, we could not do that. So in discussion with Mrs. Ross from DEP, she said, I said, well, we'll remove any credit for infiltration we had, we're taking with the rain garden. We'll remove the official rain garden moniker and just call it riverfront restoration, which, you know, because that's what it is. It's within the riverfront area that we're restoring. So additionally, we added a second deep sump catch basin. And Vincent, I think as you recall, we changed from the Hydro Works to the Barracuda. And I know there was still some leftover call outs for Hydro Works in some spots and Barracuda and others. I think Barry has addressed all of those, and which was sent to you today. The
Do you want me to
gravel,
put Brian, you want me to put a plan up here?
sure. If you do you have that
which
color
one?
I sent today?
Was that the G&D exhibit?
Yeah.
It's coming.
Yeah.
All right. Okay,
There it is.
Yeah.
there you go. I'll zoom
Zoom
into.
in just, can you zoom in just a bit, Vincent, please?
I will.
I know it's a little slow and
There it
clunky.
is.
So you can see on the left-hand side of the parking lot there, that's the second deep, over to your right, Vincent. We added that catch basin there. It's another deep sump. And then the stone strip just north of that, Vincent. Yep. We turned that into a French drain and actually have a pipe discharging to the riprap before into the forebay. So just a little more capture and treatment there, and then whatever water is through there would go into the through the riprap and into the forebay. Instead of that just being a stone strip, we added a French drain and then discharged it to the riprap. We also, it's not on this plan, Vincent, but I know it's in the plan set you had requested to extend the construction entrance 50 feet. That's on the erosion sediment control plan. So that comes into about where your hand is. That stormwater infiltrator you see to your left right there, that was rotated to get it. It was at like 49 feet or 40 feet from the wetland. So we rotated it to get it officially more than 50 feet from the wetland. We updated, you had some comments on string trimming around the fence, you know, kind of part of the long-term maintenance and operation around the vinyl fence there runs by the restoration area. So we've updated that to, I think you had requested up to 2 feet. So we updated a few things in the O&M plan language and in the stormwater pollution prevention plan. And that was revised and updated and sent to you as well. Let's see, trying to remember what else we had.
Yeah, and then the bigger issues were from the DEP, that idea of the 50-foot, this area couldn't have a rain garden within 50 feet of the wetlands, which is right close by. So
Yep.
they're not taking credit for that, which is good. They've actually increased the size of this.
Correct. And then the dry well you see off to your left there, that is a giant dry well. And right now, as we mentioned before, the site has no stormwater, no infiltration, nothing. It's never had it. So now you're removing pavement that's 4 feet from the wetlands back to, you know, a lot of the 30 to 25 to 35, and then revegetating. Oh, I know one other thing on the right-hand side, Vincent, you had asked for some hay bale check dams. They're called out on the erosion plan, but you can see the horseshoes there. Yep, there's 2 or 3 of them. So we didn't get channelizing along that erosion control barrier. That was one other thing you had asked for. Yeah, you can see a horseshoe there, and they're more clear on the erosion sediment control plan.
Yes.
I didn't send every plan colorized, just running out the door for another appointment this afternoon, but you do have everything into full plan set. I think we addressed all the comments.
Yep. And so we also had some flood storage. 100-year floodplain was filled in this area here. And
Right above it, you see
compensated.
there. Yeah, it's been, the flood fill of 22 cubic yards there. It's been, yep, right there. It's been compensated over in the flood comp over on the left-hand side there. Yep. And that riprap outfall to the left there, we pulled that back farther and made that smaller so that it's farther back on the slope there and not into the restoration area.
And that's overflow, not the design.
Yeah, that's just if that dry well ever overflows, which I would highly doubt it will. But we have good soil underneath there. It's very deep. I think they were down to 11 feet and didn't have groundwater and had good A soils and that. So, and that's, I believe Barry said that's an 8-foot diameter dry well. So it will handle a lot of water. So the entire existing roof plus the new roof is all being infiltrated. Where right now you just have, downspouts or sheet flow off the roof or gutters. So everything's going to be recharged.
Good.
So I
Vinny,
think we've addressed all the comments. And if there are other questions that you have now.
Brian, have you addressed all the DEP comments?
We replied, we did it, Vincent, yeah, we replied to that today. We had received the comments July 5th, which was what, a Wednesday or Thursday, and the first meeting with you guys was on the 10th. So we had not replied. We spoke to Kim on the phone to go over that, and that's what I discussed with you on the 10th was the comment about not being in rain garden.
Yep.
And some of our comments were, well, you don't have separation on your rain garden to groundwater. You got to do a groundwater analysis. But the comment before that was, well, you can't have a rain garden. So when we took the rain garden away and no infiltration, that went away. She had asked for if we didn't have 4-foot separation to groundwater on the middle infiltration system there, that we do a groundwater mounting analysis. That was performed, and we sent that along to her and to Vincent today. It was they ran 2 methods of Hantouche and the ground solve program. I believe the ground solve we sent today. And that was also copied to Kim Roth at DEP. Let's see. We have the outline.
Yeah, and then she talked about some plants that were not native that you replaced.
Yeah, she had the seaside goldenrod, the candy tuft, and the Siberian cypress. We removed those. Those were replaced by common juniper, and the seaside goldenrod was replaced by switchgrass. So we addressed that comment.
Good.
Then she just said the commission should not close on the initial hearing unless comments were addressed, which we've addressed. And then also we put in the letter to Kim today that we also incorporated the comments that we received from the commission and from Vincent. So we've addressed her comments as well as what we gathered from you guys on the 10th. And since then, from some additional review by Vincent.
Great. Vinny, you're good? Any questions you have or concerns?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't go through the groundwater mounting calculations, but I expect that as long as we plugged in the right numbers, it should work out. The model that they used was appropriate, but I haven't had time to go through that yet. And they have deep sump catch basins out there. The detail was good. I think it looks good. I think it's an improvement.
Very good. Questions, comments, concerns from the commission?
I would agree with Vinny. I mean, I think it's a huge improvement for the site. Like Brian mentioned, there's no infiltration today. A lot of stuff's just running off down towards the back there. So I think with the dry well, the infiltration system under the parking lot, I think that's a big improvement. And Brian, just more from like a constructability standpoint, just looking at a couple of the inverts I was taking a peek at, I think the only thing that got me was just your pipe outlets into that restoration area in the back. I think it shows like a 293.2 elevation on the invert. Just be careful there. I see like a 294 contour, and if that's a 12-inch pipe, it's going to be sticking out of the ground.
I'll double check that, Justin. 292. I think that's is that a 6 or 8 inch? Can you
It's
scan?
a 12-inch. It's a 12-inch, so you're probably, and it has a really shallow
Oh,
slope.
that is a
so-
12 inch. Yeah.
Yeah, so you might be a little bit exposed there with the top of the pipe. So you might just want to show like a little bit of fill or something over the top of it, but just
Yeah.
very minor
almost-
thing that I just wanted to make sure. And like, I don't know, just double check your elevations of, usually if you do that, like French drain, if that has a pipe in it and everything, if these pipes are kind of running through it, just kind of double check a couple of those crossings and things. But I think overall, just big improvement for the site. I think it's going to be great.
Super. Good. Thanks, Justin.
Thank you,
Anybody
Justin.
else?
Yep, and it would be okay to pull that head wall back if they need to, if they don't have enough cover, pull the head wall back for a bit. It gives a little bit more stone there
Yeah,
as well.
maybe pull that back and increase the 4-bay size a little bit or something to get, just to kind of take care of it.
Yeah. We could do that as a field sketch and just send you, a plan change for 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 17 if you want.
Yeah, that's changing the head wall by 5 feet, that we can do in the field, yep.
Yeah.
Super.
I'm sure there'll be a couple other little things like that too.
Yeah, maybe one or
Always
two.
is.
Yeah, when you get started on construction, as you know, it just the discussion you just had on your SWIP for the last project, you do have things crop up and you make adjustments and fight the good fight to try to keep everything in shape. So, but
Do what you can. Anybody else have questions, comments, concerns?
Nope.
Okay. Double check, see if we have any public hands up. No, we do not. Okay, Vinny, so if you're good and we're good, we can move ahead with this one, I believe.
Sounds good.
Move
Any
to close
special?
the hearing.
Sorry, Todd.
I said move to close the hearing.
Is there a second?
Second,
Okay. Roll call vote. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes,
Todd Helwig.
Yes,
I vote yes.
thank you very much.
Now we're looking to issue an order of conditions here. Any special requirements?
Just thinking again, they have a fence out there. I would think we'd put a couple of signs. I don't remember if we had signs on the fence, but.
We did, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we had signage called out on the fences.
okay,
We originally had a split rail and then the planning board wanted the 5-foot vinyl, but we still had shown signage.
Okay,
it's a 5-foot vinyl fence?
I believe it is there.
Okay,
I'll double check, but yeah, that was something planning board wanted for snow protection.
oh, okay, because you're making it gonna look really nice and then we're gonna put a fence in front of it?
Vincent, don't get me started.
let's move on. Yes, let's, shall we? A couple of signs on the vinyl fence would work.
Yes,
Okay. Anything else?
can we
The
put
commentary
barbed wire
between-
on the fence?
Sorry,
Like a-
Todd?
Can we put like overhanging barbed wire on the fence too? I retract the question.
The discussion between Justin and Brian around the size of the pipe and all that, does that require a condition? Or is that a field change, as you mentioned?
I think it's a
To me,
field
it
change.
just seems like more of a constructability thing. I just wanted
Yeah.
to just bring up and then, but yeah, I mean, I would think it could just be a field change. Like Brian said, there'll be little things that pop up during construction too.
Okay. Then we need order of conditions. Todd, you want to go ahead and make that motion?
Sure. Make a motion to issue an order of conditions for 78 West Main Street, DEP 247-1234.
Very good.
I know, how'd they get that number?
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Diane. Roll call. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes,
Todd Helwig,
Yes,
and I vote yes. Very good, Brian.
Thank you all.
thank you for working with us here. It's been a little bit of time, but I think we got a good product at the end. So,
Yeah, exactly. All right. Good night.
thank
Good
you.
night.
Good night, Brian.
Okay. Flipping down to 210 Brewer Street. 210 Brewer Street. That is Zoe.
So Mark
Okay,
Arnold again,
panelists.
possibly, or
I'm sorry?
Scott Goddard.
I don't see anybody else yet.
There's
There's,
Mark.
oh, there's Mark. Mark, how'd you sneak in? You have ways.
I think once you make me a panelist, when you kick me out and I log back in, it automatically puts me back as a panelist. So I'm not sure if there's a way to demote me, but I got kicked out twice, but I kept coming back.
It's like a bad penny. My God. Okay. All right. Zoe should be with us here. Let me see. Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome, Zoe. Okay, 210 Brewer Street. We are in the process. This is a continuation of a notice of intent.
Yes,
Mostly-
and I
mostly
did want to just say, if you guys wanted to take the next hearing first before us, just in case there may be some back and forth conversation, if you wanted to take them first and we go last, that would be okay with us.
Well,
No, I think we're here and set.
Well-
Let's want to just go through it.
yeah, I don't see
Okay,
anybody from
sure.
that. Yeah, nobody there from.
Thank you.
has joined yet, so let's just go.
All right. So many of us are familiar with this project, 210 Brewer Street. So again, I'm Zoe Kroner with Goddard Consulting. So at the last hearing, the commission requested that the patio be removed out of the 35-foot zone, and there wasn't many other concerns. And so since then, we have submitted supplemental information on behalf of the applicant that included a revised site plan, responses to Vincent's comments, along with a revised restoration plan as well. And so I can pull up the revised plan if you'd like.
Sure, please.
All right, can everyone see the site plan?
I can, yes.
Okay, perfect. So there's a lot on here. So a lot of the square footages of impacts, current ones or temporary ones were all added to the site plan per Vincent's, one of his comments. So most importantly here, the patio is proposed to be removed and relocated in the 100-foot buffer zone right here. And then just some fencing for safety around the pool, and then have it extend out to the house. All the restoration areas stay the same. So we have restoration area 1, where in the plan, we go through each of these restoration areas, what's currently there and how we propose to restore it. So we have restoration area 1, where there's some trees that were removed that we plan to restore. Restoration area 2, where we propose to remove the patio, get the fill out of the wetland where it trickled down off the slope there, get that fixed up back to portion of it. It mostly was lawn, and then get the brush piles out over here, brush pile in restoration area 3, restore that with plantings and seeding. Same with 4 and 5. Now, we did receive a second set of comments from Vincent, and I'm happy to answer any of those comments or go through them with the commission. We do believe that at this time, the restoration plan does serve as an adequate construction document to go out there and, finally get this place cleaned up. The applicant has been extremely cooperative to want to get all these issues resolved, and is of course really sorry for everything that happened this way. So we do expect that there will be some special conditions And we can go through those as well. And I guess I'll just take it back to the commission to see if anyone has any questions.
So can you blow it up just a little bit more?
Yes, in the northern portion.
Yeah, let's just go from 1 to 5 here on what we're gonna be
Sure.
doing.
Yes. So in restoration area 1, did you want me to go through it or?
Yep, please.
Okay, so in restoration area 1, so we were able to locate with this black bold line here, the limit of lawn. We were able to assess that with field reconnaissance and aerial imagery. And so in this area, some trees were removed. Some of the ground got roughed up a little bit. So we plan to go in there and remove the sticks and the tree logs, and plant some more plantings and some seeding, and the quantities are specified in the plan. In restoration area 2, we plan to take out the patio, take out all the fill associated with it, restore from this bold line up back to lawn, because that's what it was before, and we were able to determine that again with field reconnaissance test pits. We were able to determine the limit of lawn there, and then get the fill that fell in the wetland here and do some plantings there and some seeding. Now, this area over here, we did throw the impact numbers in there. At
But
this
wait, before we
point,
go there, Zoe, 1 second, let's go back to 2 for a quick second. The
Yeah.
proposed new location,
yes.
how far is that outside of the 35?
Let's see, I can measure it.
It's about 40 feet.
It is,
the-
okay.
Yeah, the 35 foot is there on the plan. You see it going right through the center of the pool there. That's 35.
Got
So
it.
it's about 40 feet.
Okay, I'm good then, Zoe. No need to measure.
Okay. And then this area over here, we don't have it as specifically a restoration area at this time. That area has regrown with its pre-existing conditions, which was grass that kind of just got rutted up for what had happened in the back there. But it was pre-existing lawn, that section there, and it's back to that at this point. But we did go ahead and throw those numbers on there. There was no fill found in that area. Then we have restoration area 3, which was one of the places where the brush piles were placed during the clearing. And so here we have the general limit of disturbance where the pile is, and then where the clearing took place around it and all throughout the area. So a lot of this main area here is already regrowing with a lot of great native species. So we want to just go ahead and take out that brush pile, restore it some plantings and seeding. Same thing goes for restoration area 4. They're just big brush piles. I know actually one of the questions that Vincent had was how we plan to remove them. And that would be with the mini excavator because it's a lot and probably too heavy for humans to lift. But to get that out and taking it off site, obviously not anywhere else on site because a majority of this area is within buffer zone. Maybe this area here. But then we have restoration area 5, which also has some yard waste that has been put back there. The homeowner has been very kind to be willing to remove it and restore it with some seeding and plantings. And Goddard Consulting plans to be there during all of this work to ensure that any material that's present gets out and gets restored back to the way that it was.
Okay, good. Thank you, Zoe. Vinny,
Yes.
where were you here?
Yeah, I had a few comments. If you want to start up at the northwest corner there.
Yes.
My comments were basic where generally the theme running through it is how do we stop future encroachment? And how do we address that? What I see is you've got those circles for signs located every 25 feet. But the sign you have doesn't meet our sign standard. that it is typically used by the commission. And also, it's not placed at the 25-foot no disturb zone. So that's why one of my comments was to kind of clarify the sign construction with a real post, not just a little metal stick with a 4x4 sign on top. I'm not sure what it actually said besides wetland. And then locate those signs along the 25-foot no disturb, so there's no disturb in the 25-foot zone. So that's the comments I had for that upper area.
Yeah. And my apologies for forgetting to even mention those, that they're clearly on the plan. Thank you. So yeah, we're going for the metal posts with signs. And there is a detail on the plan. Oh, so let me first address, yeah, so the detail on the plan does show the steel fence post with the sign. I was reading through the installation guidelines on the wetland area sign, and unless I'm missing something, I believe it was, so the requirement was for the post to extend below the ground surface at least 36 inches. This goes down only 2 feet. If that's, really important that it goes down a little bit deeper, then we can, that's an easy change that we can make. As far as their location, we did it in a way where the applicant can, so we did it along the limit of lawn. So like, especially in this area here, it's mostly lawn with a few really nice big trees in there. So to allow the applicant to be able to, and the homeowner to be able to go in there and maintain it the way he has for a while, to kind of put them out into the middle of a lawn. We didn't really see a benefit of that. Whereas it's at that limit of forest edge where it's actually, protecting the wetland resources. We felt like that was a good location for it. And, to have the signs on them every 20-25 feet, I feel that that's sufficient to prevent future encroachment. I know that the homeowner clearly, has learned a lot about wetlands since this whole process, and any homeowner that, takes the house in the future will have this very well thought out, detailed plan as well to show those, those posts that will be out there.
Okay, so the post idea is that the post is beefier. Your detail doesn't provide the size, but we'd be looking for something to be specific about that. And the depth is another thing, but the size, what did your sign that's 4 inches by 4 inches say?
Let's see. I think we left it. I don't think we specified. I'd have to check my responses. I don't know if we specified what the sign would say, but we're more than happy to have it say whatever the commission feels is right. And I think maybe throwing that in as a special condition for the sign to be. So what is the sign requirement that size that I'm missing?
I think it's a 12 by 18 inch sign, and it says wetlands, wetland area, do not disturb, or something like that, which is difficult to fit in that small of a size. So, I mean, if that's our biggest problem, that's not a big deal, but that is one of the issues that I had. If we go back up to where your signs are located, the idea of it's an existing lawn. In reality, that's an area that a guy went out there with I'm not sure, a Kubota or some kind of small machine and pushed material out and in towards the wetland that's going to get removed. So that I'm not exactly sure how much of a lawn it was, but the idea of protecting just the wetlands with the signs would be appropriate if it were just under the Wetlands Protection Act, but Northborough has a 0 to 25 foot no disturb zone. So to keep the activity from the 0 to 25 foot no disturb, that's why I was asking to have it put at that 25 foot or at 26 feet off the wetlands in that area to the north. Also, if you go just south of the area that we were talking about, you've got the signs right at the wetland line. Nope, go back up. go to the west of your fill area by the new patio. Can you zoom in a little? I can't really see it that well. Okay, right. So right in there, you've got signs right in or at the wetland edge. So I would want those back at the 25-foot zone so that there is no activity back there. It's a sign. You can go in and walk there. You can do whatever you want to do, but it's a no disturb zone to protect the wetlands and in our bylaw.
So to the chair, if you don't mind, so
Go ahead, Mark.
I've been with this commission for many years, and typically when a lawn has been established and grandfathered prior to the act and bylaw, it's allowed to be maintained in existing conditions. We know it's not ideal. However, it is something that was there, just like the shed and the pool and the deck are all within 25-foot no disturb. We're not being asked to remove everything that's within the 25-foot disturb when we file an application before the commission. We did try to be reasonable in regards to where we put these monuments. We wanted to be careful to make sure we were putting them on the edge of the lawn. And also maintain what's been used for recreational space by the family of this house. And so we in the back side of the site, we pulled the markers way out, and you can see that we put them on the 35-foot out in the back there. And the reason why, again, was because we felt it was a reasonable area that wasn't clear, and so we pulled it out to the 35-foot in that area in the back. But around the front of the house and around that pool area, the limit of lawn is where the demarcation should go, because otherwise putting them in the middle of the lawn is discontinuous to what has been maintained behind those signs, which is lawn. So I don't think this commission has ever asked an applicant to give up every single square foot of lawn that's in the 25-foot no disturb when it exists prior to. And in this situation here, we don't need mitigation for the patio that's put in existing lawn. We're putting everything back to normal. The applicant has put a lot of effort into getting a site plan put together by Cornerstone with a restoration plan, 2 years of monitoring by Goddard Consulting. So that's the purpose of the markers where we put them. We tried to be thoughtful about them, and that's why you see them pulling out in certain areas. And I think we were conservative in some spots, but we wanted to be where the family uses that area. I mean, the trees that are in that 25-foot behind the chicken coop is a beautiful recreational area where you get shade in the summertime. And so I don't think the commission has ever asked that just be taken away every time there's an application for the commission that 25 foot's just taken away because it's lawn already. So I don't think that I just want to ask the commission that question again of these existing lawn areas. I don't think, Vincent, that you're saying any of these markers are pushing the lawn out. I think that we're trying to be we're right along the edge. But I think the commission may need to voice their opinion about taking this lawn away and putting these markers in areas that have been existing lawn.
If it were an existing lawn, I would agree with that. If you want to stop sharing, I'll show you a picture that I took when I was out there of that area by the chicken coop. And that's why I didn't consider it a lawn.
The chicken coop's going, I think, right?
Yeah, the chicken coop is going. Yep. And so this area here is the chicken coop, and this is what they're calling a lawn. This area to the left and to the right in the back here. So I didn't consider it a lawn. I'm not sure what the commission would consider it. I didn't, but then I look at this area here that they said it was a lawn, but it looks like they were in there with the Kubota scratching out all the brush that was here. So that was my situation. That's the conditions that I see. If it is shown as a lawn, I'm not trying to push it beyond what was the lawn. I'm just looking at what I see as the conditions out in the field this spring.
Okay. All right. Can we go back to the thanks, Vinny. We go back to the plan, please, for a second.
Yeah. Vincent, you don't happen to have a photo from the other direction, do you?
Vinny, you're muted. Vinny, you're muted.
Thanks.
Keep your
Sorry.
hands away
Yes,
from
I thought I had one and I am looking for it. But that was what I found in the first offer. But You guys
Mark,
move on.
before,
I'll see if I can find
before
it.
you get to your question here, I'll tell you where I'm coming from on signs, which I know was one of Todd's favorite topics. But signs, I'll have 3 comments on them. One, we've got a sign standard, not 4 inches, 12 by 18. Those are the ones that I want put up, my personal view. Secondly, the number of signs, a lot of signs here. I think that we could probably cut this, I don't want to say
Way
in
down.
half, we could cut it way down, I would think. There's a lot of signs there. And finally, I would vote that we could maybe make some exceptions on the 25 from certain areas, but not on all. So I'm flexible in some of the locations of them. I understand a sign being in the middle of a lawn, that's gonna get knocked down and knocked over by kids eventually. So those are my 3 comments: size of signs, the number of signs, and location.
Greg,
Yes, Diane.
down the road piece on Maynard, there are 2 houses, just as you turn the corner on the right-hand side. The second house down has a little sign, probably not even 8 inches by 8 inches. And it's down at the edge of a slope. So unless you know it's there, you don't see it. But I would think something like that would be a little bit more amenable, and they could space them out, and certainly they can tell people what it's for. Or, you know, in that
Okay.
respect. But you don't
Thank you.
need that many, because there's
Right.
just the one little sign there. If you
Again,
want-
whatever the commission wants for signs and spacing, I think that's absolutely amendable to the applicant.
Yeah.
Where whatever the commission thinks, and if the commission wants less signs than what's on the plan, I think we could do that as a field call by Vincent to kind of lay it out and actually put them in. So I mean, that's absolutely something that we're glad to work with Vincent on. And again, that field call might be better than what's on the plan here, just because it makes it easier.
Each of those black dots is a sign, right?
Correct.
Oh.
We
They
tried
struck
to
out the
be.
sign.
Yeah, I mean, in some areas, we spread them out a little bit just based on
Yeah.
kind of what's around them. Behind the pool, they spread out just because you've got a pool and a deck there. But in certain areas, we kind of tightened them up just because we felt it was necessary to make sure that it was understood where the area was.
Yep, okay.
And so that all makes sense. Working out the sign, that's not a big deal. It's the location is the question at the edge of what would be considered lawn. If we wanted to work something out and revise the plan to show that, I'm fine with that too. So,
Did you find that other photo, Vincent? Because we've got one.
oh, if you have one, I mean,
So,
if
Zoe,
have
do you wanna
I got a
show it, or
photo
do you want
taken
me to
from the
show
other
it?
side of the pool.
You can go ahead, Mark.
All right, so I can't share.
You have to stop sharing first,
Oh,
Zoe, can you stop
sorry.
sharing?
one at a time.
Sorry. So this is a good photo. This was taken in the spring. So
Mhm.
here's your chicken coop there. There's your chicken run. You can see the lawn that goes around both of these trees. So the lawn does extend beyond the second tree there, and then it comes around, and there's clearly something happening behind this patio, this chicken coop here. And in the first photo that Vincent showed, I think there is clearly something happening around the chicken coop. It's very odd that we have the chicken coop smack up against brush.
And I have
there.
another
think-
angle too that shows that.
So this is the photo that I dug up, and then Zoe, I think, has a second one. But I think again, if we need to adjust these, Vincent, along the perimeter, I think that's totally fine. And again, maybe the point on the plan is 2 feet, 3 feet interior to where it is on the plan physically, but it's hard to like actually get that perfect unless we go and feel it. So there's another photo. So I mean, again, we may pull it in again a little bit, Vincent. I think that's fine. I mean, the applicant has been willing to work with this commission over this whole process. So we're not about to die over every 5 feet, every few feet of lawn here, but a reasonable extension, I think, under those trees is lawn. And again, it's a usable space for the kids to play in the shade on this property. And so I think that being allowed to stay. So again, signposts and signage to the commission's discretion, glad to. And again, if the commission wants to direct Vinny to reduce the signage according to his discretion, again, I think that's fine. And we could do that right up front early on. So that way he feels comfortable that the signage is up as we get restoration going.
Good, thank you. Okay, can we get back to the plan? Can we get a second?
Yeah, that's the bigger issues of the plan. The sign is minor. So I
Okay,
guess
Jeannie.
one of the other questions I had was the area where the patio is being removed. What is going to be the status of that area inside there? Because you've got an RA2, but right at the patio, I don't know that you made restoration area within that when you did your calculations. I'm not sure that it was all included. So I wasn't sure what was happening at the patio area.
Yeah, so at the so the patio is proposed to be removed. It's gonna come out. Any fill associated with it in this whole area is all coming out. And the area from this black line up is gonna be restored back to lawn. And then the area down gradient of that black lawn line is going to be restored by removing the fill and putting some plantings and seeding to restore that wetland buffer area. As far as the impacts, yeah, I don't think that those numbers were included in these where the arrows are pointed, but we know that the patio is 400 square feet and we know that it's there. So, but the plan is to restore it back to lawn.
Okay, so it's just going to be lawn. You're not going to have trees or shrubs planted to kind of reduce the getting in closer to the wetland. I mean, the idea that I'm looking for, when you said the fill that kind of dribbled down from the construction area, actually that was dozed into or pushed in with a machine to the wetland. So I just don't want that to happen again with another area. And there was an existing order of conditions on this property from many years ago that talked about the only alteration in that backyard was going to be within 15 feet of the pool. So there is a situation where they had a prior order of conditions on this, and we ended up with this situation occurring. So I don't want that same situation to occur again. And then as you go in farther to that end, the east end of the wetland to the right of the pool shed area, you can see that line that loops off into the neighbor's property. That is the 100-year floodplain that's mapped. And what I'm looking for is to see how much floodplain has been filled so that we can do some compensatory volumes if we have to. But there is no elevation on it. So I was looking for an elevation for that so that we can figure out how much was filled, and possibly there was some filling done at the end, at that end of the property on the east end. Did you do soil tests to see that there was no filling occurred there?
Did you want to go ahead, Mark?
Yeah. So to the chair. So let's first of all start with the floodplain. This is a no elevation floodplain by FEMA. So there's no actually elevation there. So it's just a polygon that's mapped out there. So the good thing about this project is we're not proposing to do any alterations within this polygon or really near it at all, because we're putting everything back to existing grades. So the calculations of fill within this polygon is in the single digits of cubic feet. I myself was out there when we did the test pits in the area by that existing patio that is going to be moved. That area has a clear indication of fill, and then you hit actual sod lawn actually in the soil itself. They just pushed it over. That area is a very clear area, very easy to indicate where the fill is and to remove that back. And that's our plan, is to remove everything and to calculate that at the moment, you'd have to go out there and do 5 more test pits to get it exact. But in this situation here, we know it's only a few inches. I think Zoe, I think the deepest we measured was 6 in one spot. But it was shallow elsewhere, where we actually went down through the fill and hit sod, the old lawn line, basically, and we hit the buried topsoil. It was very evident. It was actually clearer than I thought it was going to be. And so that is why we determined that area. So we know the square footage, it's all coming out. And that's what's happened there. To the east of the patio, east of the wetland along the neighbor's property line there, that area was rutted. We looked at the soils. There's no indication of material being brought in there. It's all back to vegetation restored. We don't believe there's any indication of fill material being brought in there that impacted the floodplain. So we think we have a plan here. Again, this is all under Goddard's supervision. So we're going to be there while the fill is being removed and making sure this all gets restored properly. So we feel that we do have a plan that can get implemented correctly to ensure that happens. But again, to the floodplain question, I think we've addressed it in regards to there's no elevation where we've documented where there's some fill. And it's in the single digits of cubic feet here. And it's all coming out there. So there's no compensatory storage required. We're just removing fill that was placed there again illegally. And again, the owner's been profusely apologized to Jedek for what happened. And we just want to get it all out and restored back to it. Again, that's why we're putting shrubs and seed mix and the restoration areas, and then we're putting lawn back where he had lawn.
And I do have a photo from that area if you'd like me to share it from that grass area. Can pull that up. So here in this picture, we can see this is from 2011. That's facing from the driveway towards the back of the property. And we can see that clearly this was all existing lawn with a landscape mulch area over here.
And the mulch is on, that's the neighbor's property line. Those trees are actually basically on the neighbor's property.
There's a fence there now. I think,
Where,
isn't there?
where is that? That's, okay, that's.
Yeah, there's a fence now along that tree line. The trees, I don't think are there, and there's a fence now.
Yep.
So, but this just gives you an idea that there was lawn access around this wetland to the back.
Okay.
And it probably got shifted over time because there were trees, so that people thought it was the property line, and then they put the fence up, and then the line moved because now they know where the property line is.
Okay, if I could share the photo that I have. I mean, the reason I thought it was Phil, I can show you the photo and when I was out there. So you need to stop sharing, Zoe.
Oh, sorry. There we go.
Thank you. So this is the area that I saw. The pool house is there. This is the area that we're talking about. Wetland edge is right there. Fill was there, the fill removal. So this to me looked like it was fill. I mean, it doesn't look like a lawn to me with the rocks and all the other stuff there. Your picture, I'm not sure how long ago that was, but that was why I was considering it being a fill area.
I mean, if you run over equipment over a lawn enough, you can rough it down to the subsoil. And I mean, this was in your high manicured lawn area. So I don't think the rocks are an indication of that there. Again, we looked at it, and I don't think out there we have anything that's significant of any measurable depth there. I think that's what we think is out there. I mean, I don't think we have we didn't find anything that looks like fill of the lawn in that area.
Okay, like I said, I didn't do any excavation, so this was the basis for my question.
Okay,
So that's area number actually 2A. So you
Well,
could
yep.
pull the plan up again and move through this because the other ones are pretty easy.
No?
We're going down southwest of this. You have shown the hatched area where there's fill within the wetland. And that's just going to be taken out, you said, with an excavator and down near that wetland area.
Yeah, all the brush, I mean, everything back here is some sort of plant material. It's either grass clippings or lots of brush and sticks. They're moved around. That's it. There wasn't like earth movement here. But yes, all these piles are going to come out, and we're going to use a mini to do that. And again, the reason why we have Goddard there is just to make sure that mini is careful as they do that stuff. If you do it carefully, you can really minimize a lot of damage. And so that's the purpose of this. We wanted to make sure that we're involved with any of this just because it is delicate.
Yep. So that area sounds good. And just to make note, the whole area within that 35-foot zone, was altered from property line all the way up to beyond where the screen is, where that little arrow is. What's that arrow? I can't read what that arrow notes at the very top of the screen.
Sorry, I'm not sure which one you're looking at.
it's outside the property lines. It's showing an arrow. It's a,
Oh,
Oh.
this one
no, up to your right.
up to my right.
Yeah, that one that's just outside by the shed.
Side by the shed.
What does that say? Oh, the posts along.
Add
So that's
post-
adding posts.
Yeah.
Right. And so the area that was altered was basically all the way around that wetland, correct? There was all brush cleared and there was no grading. I agree with that. And the fill, there was no fill, but everything within whatever it was, well, from the wetlands all the way up to the top of the hill had all been denuded.
Correct, yes. And that was stated in the original NOI submittal.
Yep. Yep. So that's the area that we're letting it grow back, just so the commission's aware. So we're just going to let that grow back. We're going to go in and pull out the materials from that area to on the left side.
Mhm.
The piles along the bottom, those two piles up in the upland area, those I'm not real worried about. That's outside the 35-foot zone mostly. And those are fine what they're proposing to remove those and take them off the site. The other issue that I had some concerns with is the alteration at the back, the southeast corner. It's got two little piles shown, but when I was out there, it looked like the whole area was dumped loam, and the wetland was growing up through some, not loam, I mean lawn clippings and brush from clearing a lawn, so that I was expecting to have some excavation work needing to be done there, not just picking branches off the surface. And I didn't see anything in the application, so that was what I was looking for. So I wasn't sure what was being proposed. Yeah, right in there.
RA5, yep.
Yeah, so there we, similar plan for all the other spots, to remove the slash piles that we can see in these pictures and the yard waste to be removed, and then restored with shrubs and seed mix.
Right.
And
But
Goddard-
isn't that like 2 feet worth of lawn and grass clippings and other stuff? I mean, when I stepped on it, it sank down quite a bit. And that's why I was expecting we're going to remove everything, not just the branches and the twigs that are on the top. We're going to pull out whatever is there down to the old original ground that wasn't filled. And
Yep.
that wasn't
Correct.
clear in the proposal.
Our intention is to remove anything that was dumping, because anything that was dumped is clearly impacting vegetational growth, and we can't get anything to grow unless we have soil. So our intention is to remove all the dumpings there, because it wouldn't be full restoration unless we had actual soil there. So our plan is to remove, slash piles and yard waste. Yard waste is leaves, lawn clippings, anything that's impacting vegetational growth should be removed from that area.
Okay. Well, we agree that sounds good. And that's what I was hoping we'd have on the plan. But if you look at the plan, I don't see what the notes said on that.
So to the chair, the purpose of this project is we have two line items. We have the site plan, which gives you general locus of everything. And then we have the restoration plan, which provides a lot of the detail, a lot of the language, a lot of the wording that's there. That's typical for a project. You have a site plan, then you have a restoration plan, a wetland replication plan. We've done this before in Northborough, where we have a site plan that's provided civil, and then we have a replication plan or restoration plan that's additional documentation. Usually those are cited in parallel within the order of conditions. And that just makes it easier for people to follow stuff around. It just gives a nice list and checklist versus burying the site plan with lots of language. So that's kind of why we have those two things. So we expect both of these documents to be cited in your order of conditions and to be complied with.
Okay, thank you. So Vinny, we're good with 3 through 5. Got questions on 1, 2 still. Fair statement?
Well, it's just the general idea. I'm looking for a revised plan, so that we start from a known plan. We've all agreed to what we're going to do, and it's shown on the stamped engineered plan, the surveyed plan that's required in the bylaw.
So through the chair, Vincent, the plan shows the limits of restored lawn and restored areas of buffer zone in areas 1 and 2. We acknowledge that the signs may need to be adjusted slightly. And again, we welcome that adjustment by Vincent. I trust him to make a reasonable call on those locations, to be understanding to what may have been there, at the same time protecting the wetlands. And I think that I trust Vincent to make a good call there. But I think our restoration plan, which is again an additional document, which we usually submit with most sites in Northborough, when we do wetland replication of this stuff, there's details on the site plan and there's details in our document. I don't know what exactly information we're missing between those two documents in parallel, that prevents us from getting out there, ideally getting order conditions in early September and getting out there to plant in the best time of year, to get this restoration moving on. And again, to the chair, we're glad to let Vincent guide us in areas, and the commission could definitely have a strong condition about the agent directing certain areas to be restored in a certain way. We understand that Vincent does know how to do this right, and we can trust his judgment. And I think he can be very reasonable, and we can accommodate all that as we work through these areas and get this work done.
Okay, good. Good. Thanks, Mark. Other questions from the commission or comments where we are?
Well, everybody speak at once.
Right. Everybody's happy. It's good.
I guess I think for myself, I'm done with what they've proposed. I think there's been enough done, enough time has passed, enough pain has been exacted that I think it's probably good enough at this point.
Okay. Thank you, Todd. Anybody else?
I have a question, Greg.
Go
Is
ahead.
there a list on the plan somewhere of what plantings they're going to use and what type of seeding? That it didn't see that part.
Yep. So I actually have it pulled up right now for you. We have it listed by restoration area, which matches up on the site plan. So each area has a suggested trees, shrubs, and seed mix on the restoration plan.
Does that satisfy your question, Diane?
Yes, thank you.
Good, thank you. Good, good. Anybody else? Dan or Justin, comments?
No, I mean, for me, I feel like, this is gone kind of light years from where we were at the last meeting. And I feel like we've made a lot of really good headway here. I think there's a couple little things. I think with the signs, I think, some type of kind of field location makes a lot more sense. I know kind of tree lines as they're depicted on, existing conditions plans and things like that. Like once you actually get out there and walk it and kind of can work together with Vinny on locating those signs, I feel like, you'll all kind of reach a mutual agreement on those. So to me, it feels like the signs, there's a lot of them shown on here. I certainly feel like we don't need that many. And once you kind of get out there and walk it, that there'll be a pretty clear area where you decide to put those. So to me, that seems fine. I'm okay with the restoration areas. I feel like it's going to be, a huge improvement as to obviously what we have out there. I'd say with the signs, and now you've got an owner that really kind of understands the commission and what they have on the site for wetlands now and kind of things going forward. I feel like we're in a much better spot. So for me, I'm at a good spot with this thing right now too.
Okay, good. Thanks, Justin. Dan, comments?
I'm comfortable with what they presented. I guess I'm still confused where the lawn is and where it isn't. It seems like some photos show one thing and other photos show the other thing. So I'll defer to an on-site meeting of the minds to figure. I do agree with Vinny. It should follow, the lawn where it was, wherever that may be. And I generally agree with everybody. It seems like maybe there's a few too many signs. Could probably get away with fewer of them.
Oh, good. Good. Thanks. Thank you, Dan. Vinny, what do you think? The commission seems in general in pretty good shape.
And I agree. We've done a lot of good things. I'm glad to see that the patio is going to be moved. I mean, that was the big issue. And hopefully we'll get the name of the guy who did the work on the grading and all that other activity. I'd like to make that a condition of the approval. Because I've asked for that multiple times and not gotten it from the owner. Just so that we can contact that person and let them know not to come to town and do the same thing again.
Sure, that's reasonable. Yeah. Okay. All right, so we're looking here then, any open items, Vinnie, from your side? We have the sign location, which I think everybody's okay with. In some cases, 25 feet, other cases, something different based on the contour of the land and what it looks like in the field. I believe we should use the standard size signs, but if there's a reason to do something different, fine. But I think we should go standard sizes. We're going to use less of them. We'll just be more standard. And I think all the questions you had earlier about are they going to just take the twigs away or actually dig down and they're going to actually pull some of the stuff out too. So I think that's covered.
Right.
Only question I have is that 2A section you brought up. But I mean, the battling photographs here, it's this photograph from 2011 shows this one shows that. It's not great lawn right now. I think what my position is let's leave it as it is. They've got some erosion control devices up. No need to go any further. Well, my view. But
Yeah, no, I was not aware of the photographs, knowing that nothing was submitted with the application to show the historical conditions. So, I mean, based on what I saw out in the field, it looked altered and filled. The town also has maps showing wetlands going up that area and all the way up to the to Brewer Street on the neighbor's property, but that's all lawn now and trees growing. So things have definitely changed, but we don't need to beat this anymore.
all right.
And maybe like the one condition maybe that I'd recommend would be, once everything's removed, at that point, Vinny, probably be good before they do any plantings or anything like that. It would be nice just to get out there, right, and confirm that they've got kind of the right level of everything removed, and then at that point, proceed with the plantings after that, just to kind of make sure you get eyes on it. Everything generally looks good, that all that material is out of there before they kind of move on to the next step, which would be the revegetation.
That sounds good.
Okay, so that's what condition. Another condition is the contact information for the concrete pour.
No, I've got the concrete guy. He didn't do the filling and all the brush.
I thought the patio. No, you got him?
Right. Yeah, no, he attended our first
Oh, he's the
hearing
one,
back
right,
in
okay.
May. And he just went out there. He should have known better, but
Right.
he went out there and just poured a concrete patio. But it was the guy who ran the Kubota or the Bobcat, whatever it was, ripping and tearing out there.
Okay. All right, we'll make that a condition also then. No other question. I see no hands up from the public here. So we'll move ahead with closing the hearing.
So moved.
Second,
Seconded by Diane. Roll call. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
yes,
Todd Helwig,
Yes,
and I vote yes. Now do we need to issue an order of condition for 210 Brewer Street with a couple of notes, right? One is the contact information provided to you.
Yes.
Second one is what Justin brought up around the field visit and approval prior to moving from phase to phase.
Yep. Bottom of excavation inspection and approval.
Anything else?
Signs to be located in the field 25 feet off the wetland or the limit of agreed upon lawn area.
Right.
And then all our regular standards.
And then less signs too. I mean, we don't need
Oh.
21 signs out there.
Yep.
I'm thinking half of that, but that's, you can,
Yeah.
this might be
Yeah.
better here. We don't want to
With
be
a
too.
reasonable signage, you can see 1/3, if not.
Yes,
I mean-
4x4 is a little rough.
And we don't have that many signs in the office. to sell.
You better order a gross, just to have them around.
Yeah. Well, I'll give them the spec. They can order it directly from the person and save some money if they want.
Here we go.
Cut out the middleman.
Like it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we need a motion.
Move to issue the order of conditions for 95, no,
Nope.
wrong one, 210 Brewer Street, subject to the conditions we just spoke about.
Very good. Is there a second?
Second,
Seconded by Justin. Roll call, Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufrain,
yes.
Diane Gouldner,
Yes,
Scott Helwig,
Yes,
and I vote yes. All right. Zoe and Mark, you're good.
Have a good night. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon. Thank you. All right.
Ooh, this one I'm on. You should find Kevin Lamy, I think.
Yep.
I think that's
I
all.
believe he's been hanging here. Kevin Lamy, we're gonna bring him in. Promote to panelist. He's got his hand up. Kevin, you should be coming in here momentarily. Where is Kevin?
I see him.
and
He's coming.
it's on. It's on. It's
You're
his
muted,
name is
Kevin.
there.
Yep.
Yeah,
Kevin, are you with us?
he's muted.
You see him?
No, see his name.
Yeah, I see it. Okay. Kevin, you're muted and also your camera's off. Oh, camera's on. Camera's off.
Okay, now you're on camera.
Somebody. There we go.
All right. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have, this is an NOI for 95 Indian Meadow Drive. I was out there with Diane, and Vinny's been out there a couple times, I believe, speaking with you.
Correct.
Vinny, do you want to kind of set the commission up with what's going on and what?
Yep,
why we're
I'll
here?
share my screen, give a background, or do
Perfect.
you want to do the walkthrough, Kevin?
I think some of the background history is important too.
Yes. So I'm sharing my screen here with the plan for 95 Indian Meadow. The situation is the subdivision was constructed. There's drainage in the street and it's directed down an easement along Mr. Lamy's property in blue. Comes down next to a shed and it comes out of the, we'll get closer, but it comes out and it discharges to a wetland area in the back along the golf course and in the back of these properties. So this drainage here takes a pond that's farther up to the north of this property on the opposite side of the street and is the back of, I can't think of the name. Kevin, what's the name of that street across the way from you?
I believe that's, no, not Abenaki. Geez, I should know it. I don't know it myself.
Well, it's a stretch of probably a few hundred feet of street drainage and backyards that then flow to a detention pond across the street and then through this 30-inch pipe. It also picks up drainage from the west side, the west section of Indian Meadow Drive, and it discharges down here. The eastern section of Indian Meadow Drive comes to this pipe, which comes down and discharges in the back area here. So it's mostly the area north and west of 95 Indian Meadow that was on the approved subdivision plan that kind of comes in here. So that was where the drainage situation is. A little more of the details on this are that the pipe was constructed by the town, put in place, but it wandered off the reservation here, off the drainage easement, and now is out here while the drainage easement is this area here. So the town has been trying to work on this for the last 15 years, I think it was. And the commission back in 2006 issued an order of conditions for this work to be done to extend the pipe since we're taking some of his usable yard area here. He's asked and is willing to grant an extended easement here if he can have a little bit more usable space in the back by filling that wetland a little bit. Within the work area, there's an existing flared end section that'll be removed. And then they're going to install a connection between the reinforced concrete pipe to a plastic pipe, 30-inch diameter. And then that's going to extend, I think it said 18 feet to a concrete manhole, and then get it to direct it out this way for 5 feet, and then a flared end section to a riprap area so we don't scour this wetland out. So what we're doing is really extending it about 20 feet off in the back here, and having a stabilized area to handle the flow coming through that 30-inch pipe. The hatched areas have got a hatching going this way, and that's the area of wetland and floodplain that's going to be filled. And then the hatching going this way is the floodplain and some wetland at the bottom that is going to be excavated. He's willing to pull this back a little bit, and so we get some compensatory area for a portion of the amount that's filled, but it's an area that it's not very usable, and he's going to be putting stone along that slope. There was concern from a neighbor, I assume that he's on at this meeting, that he was worried about having flooding backing up on his property if this area is filled. And there's a note on the plan that says we're going to hold the existing grade within 5 feet of the property line. So that's going to allow this flow to continue. It will be filled because there's currently a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 foot drop right in that area there. And what's being proposed is for the water to be able to channel around the edge and go straight out in a positive manner. No damming up of that flow coming off the neighbor's property. So that's what is being proposed, and they're proposing to put a stake coir erosion barrier out here around the limit of work and tie into this area there. Work is going to be done when there's not no rain anticipated within 3 days, so that he can get the work done and not have flow coming through a 30-inch pipe, because no matter what we put out there, if that 30-inch pipe is flowing, it's not going to stop it. So it's got to be done in dry conditions. And that's what has been proposed.
Good. So if the town had done this, what they said they were going to do 20 years ago, we wouldn't be here.
That is correct.
Correct.
Okay. The order of conditions that was cut, was that Mr. Lamy going to do it, or was that a town order?
It's the town, back in 2006, the town was the applicant. It was the town's order of conditions.
And they just never did it.
They had personnel problems, budget problems, and it was planned. Fred said it was planned about 3 or 4 times, just never actually happened.
Okay. And now the property owner is going to do it himself. That's where we are.
Yes, at no cost to the town, right? Kevin, I think that was the story.
Correct.
You can speak. I don't want to speak for you when it comes to money.
Yes, correct. Yep. I'll be handling the whole thing.
Okay. Questions, comments, concerns from the commission? No hands up? No issues, no concerns? Okay. Let me see if we have any. I have a raised hand here. Let me see. I've got a Nitin Shah. I'm going to bring into the conversation as a panelist.
Is it maybe just one quick question maybe for Vinny? Vinny, is this, it's BVW, right? But it looks like it's a lot of like man-made channels on the golf course and things like that too. I mean, this area is clearly disturbed, and then over time, I'm sure this is kind of developed, right? Because of the flow from the 30-inch pipe from the roadway, you know, probably allowing a lot of that vegetation and things to grow, right? So we're not talking about an area that's, you know, kind of a bigger kind of BBW that's all pristine and everything. It seems like it's kind of really between the yards and the golf course and everything that's been maintained with kind of some man-made channels and things through here too, huh?
That is correct. It's a vegetated channel. There's no flowing stream condition that would make it a bank or a stream, but it is a vegetated wetland. Mostly buckthorn, all the plants. Diane, you were out there and we looked at a few of the plants. There is cattails at the base there, so it's performing a function for stormwater quality improvement, so that's good. And we're going to try to get those, when we dig that out, we'll save that material and plant it in the area along the bottom of the slope that's going to be excavated to provide a little bit of that stabilization, a little bit of the water quality improvements. And it has indications, a lot of sand and salt, a lot of sand and stone from the street drainage has kind of come down here. So it's been filled a bit, so that the work associated with putting in the riprap at the end should be easy. He should be able to put those stones 12-inch diameter, average size, and just knuckle those in to make it a stable discharge point.
And are those 12-inch stones, is that going to be like a kind of like a plunge pool almost? Give it any sand or sediment, kind of a spot to kind of settle out, I guess.
Yeah, I was thinking about that it's a possibility to do something like that, but I don't know that the town in the last 15 years has ever gone out there and excavated anything at the outlet. So I don't expect it to happen in the future.
I think it's more for stabilization. I mean, I think 12-inch
Yes.
is good. It's good to see that size stone, because obviously you get a 30-inch pipe, you're going to get some pretty significant flows sometimes. So, big kind of heavy stones like that, kind of, all kind of working together, I think will help on the erosion side of things.
Yep.
And
I
that's
like your idea
really,
of-
you're gonna have those stones kind of anywhere where you disturb, right? The only concern would be kind of like after those stones happen, make sure that we don't have any kind of disturbed soil or anything like that, because that could obviously start to erode with the 30-inch pipe. So it's kind of like line that area if you get in there and disturb it with the stone, so it kind of holds it together.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
he's aware of that. And I like the idea of maybe putting right at the pipe, dropping it down a few inches. So it's a little bit deeper at the flared end section than it is at the very end. So you can use the water that sits in there as an energy dissipator when the pipe is flowing out. So that makes good sense.
Good. Justin, you okay?
Yep.
All right. Anybody else?
Just a quick question. It says you're filling 500 square feet, but you're only replicating 300 square feet.
Yes. There's not a lot of area to do the replication, and he's falling under the DEP's 500 square foot finger-like projection allowance. He could fill the whole thing, but he's offered to do 300 square feet to compensate.
Okay.
Okay. Any more questions? Mr. Shah.
Yes, I'm a abutting neighbor.
Mhm.
I'm just, my concern, as Vinny has said, is the water flow from the back property, making sure it doesn't back up onto the land.
Mhm.
So far, we have never had any flooding in our basement, so I want to keep it like that.
Okay. Okay.
The other question I had was, is Mr. Lamy going to use all the filling he has collected behind the tree to fill in the area that he proposes to fill in?
Let's deal with.
Yes,
the
they'll
first
be
one.
on,
Okay.
they'll
Mr.
be on
Baldwin,
top of the fill. That's loam that's next to the tree. They'll be on top of the fill.
So that area will be cleared up? I
Correct.
assume? Okay.
How about the first part of the question here, Vinny, about the potential for flooding? I think as long as we keep certain elevations, we should be okay, right?
Yeah, there's a note on the plan that says they're going to hold the grade within 5 feet of the property line. So it goes downhill beyond 5 feet. And he's not proposing to, the proposed fill is up to in this area here, right up to where the fence is for the golf course. He's going to fill this area back here. But this is going to be this is lower, and that's the existing wetland that isn't going to be touched. So I'll be out there Mr. Shah said that there's a property corner, a pipe or a stake in that corner. He was going to flag it up. I was going to go out and check on that, line up with the edge of this, or let's say 3 feet off the edge of that shed, and we'll know where the property line is, and we just make sure we don't dam any of the water up between Mr. Shah's property and the area where it wants to go. So it appears that the design is protecting the flow from his backyard.
Okay, Mr. Shaw, does that make you feel any better?
Yeah, yeah, that's good. There was a previous hearing and there was a different decision made. So obviously the plan changed in the meantime, and I was trying to understand why the plan changed.
At your request, that was why. The idea of extending the pipe back and getting the more useful area is the intent of the owner. And there was no need to fill higher than the existing grade at within 5 feet. As long as the water keeps flowing over, we should be okay. And it's not going to be a wetland because it's going to be 4 feet of fill instead of 5 or 6. I just brought it down a little bit so that we don't have to worry about damming things up on your property.
So if you're standing on the border, you can see the land sloping down away from the back of my property. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Right.
And we're going to maintain a slope. It won't be as steep a slope because right now it's dropping right off 5 feet or so, but it will continue to go down at least a 1% slope.
Okay.
Does that answer your question, Mr. Shah?
Yes, thank you.
Good, thank you. Okay, Mr. Lamy, anything you want to bring up before we go ahead and move it forward?
No, that is it.
Okay. Then if there are no other, checking again, no other hands up, we need a motion to close the hearing.
So move.
Second.
And seconded by Todd. Roll call. Dan Clark.
Yes.
Justin Dufresne. Oh, you're muted,
All right,
Justin.
yes.
Diane Goldner.
Yes.
Todd Helwig.
Yes.
I vote yes. Now we're looking for a motion to issue an order of conditions for 95 Indian Meadow Drive. Anything special here, Vinny? I don't think so.
No, this one, I think we want to put in 2 or so, maybe 2 or 3 signs at the top of the slope once it's
Okay.
done, so that we have a marking that this is it.
Okay, that seems fair. Just no
reasonable?
more than 2, right? No more
Yeah,
than
2 is good.
Okay. Okay,
So moved with the 2 signs. Oh, wait.
is there a
We need to
second?
close. Yep.
Second.
Seconded by Dan. Roll call. Dan Clark.
Yes.
Justin Dufresne.
Yes.
Diane Goldner.
Yes.
Todd Helwig.
Yes.
I vote yes. Mr. Lamy, you're all set.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Do you have any target dates to get this done or to start or?
No, I don't. I like to have it done within 3 months.
Yeah, just want to pick that period of weather, right? Nice
Correct.
place and go do it.
Yes.
Sure. Good. Okay, well, thanks for being patient for 20 years and your cooperation.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
You too.
Good night.
All right. I believe Vinny, that ends the public hearing, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
So we do have, we want to talk about Mount Pisgah and Mount Edmund and the forestry piece.
Yes, the 2. Yep. Yep. The first one being we have in hand a proposal for a forester to work for the town or work with the town for putting together a forest cutting plan for Edmund Hill and for Mount Pisgah. We got some prices. We only had one proposal, positive proposal. I have three people who replied, but were too busy or too far or not interested. So we got the required three estimates, and we have one that she seems Wigmore Forest Management, and she seems very qualified. Her references were good, and I look forward to working with her if it's approved by the commission.
Dan Clark, do you have any experience with this company?
I have no direct experience. I've heard of them, but I have no personal knowledge of their work. But I read the proposal. I thought she touched on the things I wanted to hear. So I think I would recommend we go with Wigmore. I think she'll do well.
Okay. Good. Justin, you're nodding your head too. You have any background, or just the proposal seemed to hit the right buttons?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's good. I'm glad. I know this one was a struggle to get people in, but seems like we got a good one here. So yeah.
Yep. Any questions or comments from Diane or Todd?
No,
We may have someone from the Trails
We have
Committee out
Craig
there.
Cox here. I
Mr.
don't see his
Cox.
hand up.
Nope, there he is.
Let me see.
He's coming in.
Okay.
He is here. Oh, you're muted. Good.
Here he is.
Hello. Sorry,
Cox.
everyone. It took me a minute to click everything to get alive
Okay,
here.
okay.
Good evening.
Get yourself together there. It's fine. It's fine. All right. You see the proposal? Did you take a look at it, Craig?
Absolutely.
Yep. What do you think?
I'll cut to the chase. What we as the Trails Committee have tried to express to Vinny is we don't see ourselves as experts in forestry. We've read the forest management plan as it's written extensively. We lean on the piece that says, what are we going to do about the plants? What are we going to do about the animals? What are we going to do about the water? What are we going to do about the space as it's there for the community? We're the folks that are in there with the saws and the rakes and the shovels and the chainsaws tending to it all the time. And we are very focused on the aesthetic, on the usability of the space. The Trails Committee recognizes that, like your garden, like anything else, maintenance is necessary, but, we're kind of very nervous about this being a cutting plan.
Yep.
We're excited about the opportunity to work with an educated forester who can come in and say, listen, here's what the science tells us. Here's what best practices tells us. To Ms. Wigmore's proposal, here's what funding is available. Here's what other communities are doing. We're excited at those opportunities, but we're very cautious about proceeding too quickly to, okay, well, here's the cutting plan.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. It sounds to me like that they're going to move judiciously forward. That's the way I saw the plan. And there's going to be cutting. There are trees coming down. That's going to happen. So it's just a matter of how many and where. And I'm not an expert, and that's why we're going to bring these folks in to hopefully minimize the amount of cutting they got to do, but to address the overall plan of keeping those forests healthy for future use by everybody.
Well, through the chair, if I may, Mr. Young,
Sure.
it's understandable that there probably is some cutting, but we are equally concerned about the impact on Pisgah and on Edmund Hill that's involved with how they cut, how they get trees out, what's residual, what the land would look like afterwards. Unfortunately, there's a terrible case example here in town right now with the Brigham Street Cemetery work that went on.
Mhm.
That started off with the selective harvesting approved by the town, 20 some odd trees. And if you go by there now, it's wide open space. So, the Trails Committee is very concerned with, okay, if there's going to be judicious agreed upon cutting that's necessary from a consultant's proposal on the health of the forests, we get it. But we're also interested in understanding how the cutting will proceed, what the short and long-term impact will be on Edmund Hill. And we believe it's an involved and important discussion. And I'm here tonight just to say we'd like to be a part of it, to add to it so we can come to some consensus on how we really win-win on the whole forest management plan.
Definitely, sure. I think I mentioned earlier that we do want you to be partners with us on this one. So we're glad you're here for that. And again, reading through that proposal, it seems like this is not their first rodeo. And they have, the concerns that you bring up are probably no different than the concerns from Templeton or Gilbertsville or any place else they've worked. And they address them. So I think it's a pretty solid proposal going forward. And there's communication channels here, so.
Right. And we have probably, I think 1/3 of the budget in this discusses public education and outreach.
Right,
So there's
right.
a good budget item there.
Yeah, what we'll want to do, Vinny, I think, is probably bring, if the person gets approved tonight, is to bring them in and have a discussion with them around the details on what their communication plan is going to be and what and where and when and how and all that. So we can work on that separately, outside.
Yes, once we get it awarded and get the contract stuff set up, I'm hoping that we'll be able to bring Wigmore Forest Management in at the next meeting or no later than October.
Now, will they do the application for the DCR grants or do we do that?
I think I'm doing the next item. I'm drafting that. They
Okay.
haven't been hired yet, so they've volunteered and assisted me with some of the paperwork, but I think I'm doing that as the town because it's a community application.
Okay. Okay,
But
good.
right now, we're just looking at awarding the forestry contract to Wigmore.
Okay. And they will choose the actual company to come in and do any sort of work on the mountain, the hills, right? They have a number of vendors they deal with on a regular basis.
Yes, they do. And Dan, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they put together the cutting plan and then it goes out and any forester or any logging company can bid on it. And her knowledge and experience and the people, actually Dan and Tom, are knowledgeable about this as well. We'll make the selection of the companies that are gonna do the work, but then they stay on and monitor that it gets done the way it's been written in the forest cutting plan. So getting that forest cutting plan written the way we want it with trails committee's input, with the open space committee's input, that's really what we are going to use as a basis for moving forward.
Good. Okay. All right. Any more comments from the commission?
I have a question.
Yes,
Did
Diane.
they, Vinny, did they send any photos like before and after some of the work that they've done so that you'd have a better grasp of what it is? Their paperwork was very precise. And I thought that they might have included something like that just to back themselves up.
I know they referenced projects, but I don't remember seeing actual before and after photos. I could bet that Craig, you looked at it fully. Did you notice that?
The proposal that you shared with us, Vinny, there were no pictures, unfortunately, of, samples of their portfolio and here's what they've done. And I can certainly anticipate that that's because it's relative to what they find when they're on property. The Wigmore proposal talks about needing to go back and redo the assessment of the property beyond what's in the forest management plan, and I can appreciate that. And so when they come back and say, here's what we found, here's what's dead, here's what's invasive, here's what you need for the climate going forward, we would think then they would tell us, then they would have a better idea of what it might look like afterwards and what the impact on everything else that's in the forestry management plan would be beyond just the cutting.
Yes. Yep. Yes. And that's kind of the anticipation that I have as well. I just wasn't sure if they provided any photos, and I know there was a photo on the cover, but that was just a cover photo.
Okay. Vinny, do we know if we have on the payment process here? I know we're looking at Edmund Hill first. And it's 18,000 for the timber harvest prep and oversight. And then the public outreach keeps separately. So of that 18,000, is that payable by phases? I was trying to get that. They mentioned hourly rates of $60 an hour for overages. What I'm coming to here is there some holdback we can have so that we have some money in terms of, whatever that is. Let's say $5,000 for conversational purposes. That as long as we are pleased with what the end result is, then we release the final funds. Some sort of control.
I'm pretty sure there is. Dan, do you remember in the standard language that we used for the scope of services?
Yeah, we certainly have some ability to partition out the money and when we get paid. I'm guessing they'll bill us as they go along for their services. So there'll be several points where we can review the invoices and pay them. I'm not concerned by that. I think we'll have plenty of opportunities to make sure we get the product that we want in the end.
Yep, good. Okay. All right. Any more questions? Comments? All right, so we should vote this then, Vinny, yes? We want to vote both together? We want to
Well,
vote to,
You could do both together. The second item is to authorize, I'm not sure how we do because we want to do a grant application to the DCR
yes,
for community implementation of the forest management plan.
Yeah.
We're allowed to request up to $20,000 with I think it was a 10% or a 5% match. And so it comes out to where the project would be a $26,500 project. The $6,500 in-kind match would be my time, the planning director's time, the commission members' time. So you don't have to be an official employee of the town, so that we would have in-kind services to go against the $20,000 that the DCR puts up for this implementation phase. And that we're hoping to be able to use to kind of offset the cutting plan prep, as well as much or actually all of the outreach and education work. So that's a follow-up. But right now we have money in the budget, in the conservation budget, and this falls within the criteria for that. We have enough money in the budget to spend that the amount for Edmund Hill and move forward with that right now.
okay. All right, good. So I think we can probably combine these together as a single vote.
Okay.
So we're looking to, on the table is voting to approve agreeing to a contract for forestry services with Wigmore. Is it Wigmore?
Yes, Wigmore Forest Management.
Forest Management, and also to allow you to apply for the implementation grant.
Yes, and recommend or have you authorize it, signature under your signature or my signature. I'm not sure what the state requires, whether it has to be the chair,
Okay. All right.
but
So
just
that's
so we
what
don't
we're
have to
looking-
do it at the next meeting.
Right. So that's what we're looking to vote on. Roll call vote. Dan Clark.
Do we have a motion?
Oh, we need a motion.
I'll
an
make
act.
the motion to do that.
What's that, Todd?
The motion to vote both of them forward.
Okay. All right. Is there a second for that?
Second,
Second by Dan. Roll call. Dan Clark,
yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes,
Todd Helwig.
Yes,
And I vote yes. Now we're going to vote on both proposals together as previously outlined. Is that enough for you, Vinny?
That we just did. No, that was the motion to do it. We're not closing a hearing.
Oh, okay, fine. Can we, I'm so focused on this too. We've been through this so many times.
That's right.
All right, so we got the vote you need, right?
Yes,
All right, good.
Todd was very clear.
That was concise, very good. He was very excited about the amount of signs going out the door this week. My God, we set a record, so.
Yeah,
All right, very good. Craig, you'll be involved. We'll keep you in the loop, certainly. I know you and Vinny have a communication channel, which is good. And you'll get to meet Mr. or Mrs. Wigmore, I'm sure, down the road here, so.
yes, soon.
Soon, right? Very good. Okay. I'm gonna move you out, Craig. Thank you. Anything else going on, Vinny? No violations.
Well, I'm working with Waterman Design again. We had that breach over at 105 Lincoln Street,
Mhm.
and they've proposed a plan to address it. So
Yep.
we don't have to do any enforcement at this time. I'm working with Waterman Design, and the property owner is very willing to get things done. It's just we need to make it happen.
Good, okay. And so we have continuations for next week, next month of the 311 Crawford Street, although that might have another resolution, who knows? And King Street. Those are the only two continuations. Anything new
Yes.
coming in, you know of?
Yes, we have a septic design on Bartlett Street, right next to the is it Bartlett Street? Yes, Bartlett Street, right where the pond comes out, the septic repair project.
Okay. All right. That's it. Who knows what else? September meeting, 9/11. Anybody have any conflicts that you know about right now?
I checked my calendar. I'm out of town. I just checked my itinerary. I'm actually on a plane. I was thinking maybe I could do both, but I won't be available.
Okay, so Dan's out. Everybody else is around.
Well, that brings us down to 5.
Right,
I don't want to have to count on Tom, and we only have 6 members, so.
Well, if Tom can't make it, we have 4. That's quorum.
Yeah.
Oh.
Good, okay.
All right.
And it sounds like we don't have anything that's, I mean, well, I guess if 311 comes in front of us, that's an interesting one. But besides that, the other ones seem pretty straightforward, especially if it's just septic repair and.
Tread
Should be
carefully,
a lot.
Justin. Just tread carefully there on those statements, all right?
I got a knock.
Yes.
I got wood here. I'm knocking on wood.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, in
Very
King
good.
Street, it's just getting some details together.
Yeah,
Finishing that up.
Oh, it's just a septic repair. Okay, there we go.
piece of cake.
What could go wrong with that? So,
Yeah.
all right, motion to adjourn then.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second by everybody. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Gouldner,
Yes.
Todd Helwig.
Yes.
I will vote yes. Have a great rest of summer. Owen Jones, thank you for your help. Terrific as usual.
All right,
Yeah,
yeah,
talk
thank
to
you
you.
all.
Bye, everyone.
Night, everyone. Night.